our final panel I am so excited about, diving into something I'm actively trying to figure out. I know many of you here want to figure out. I can't do it all alone, and I need help. So how do we do it? And so I'm so excited to welcome to the stage Dara Denney, Mark Pentleton, Abagail Pumphrey, and Aneesh Lal, who all are amazing creators, all work with creators, manage them, and have a lot of unique perspectives on this topic, so I'm excited to have them. So please, get comfortable, take a seat. Welcome, good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Amazing. I want to give you guys each an opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Amazing, thank you so much. Hi everyone, my name is Dara Denney and I make content for the advertising industry. I got my start as a media buyer and creative strategist, and now I actually make the bulk of my revenue as a full-time creator. I work with brands like Meta, Snapchat, TikTok, the big platforms, and I'm also a Teachable creator. I launched my Teachable course about 2 years ago, and it's been an awesome ride. So,
how's the course doing?
Course did very well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, we love to hear that. That's great. Welcome, Dara. And Mark.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Pentleton. I'm coming from Scotland and I'm delighted to be here. About 18 years ago I started a podcast before anyone really knew what a podcast was. It was called Coffee Break Spanish. Since then we've continued to add lessons and languages over the past 18 years, and we now do about 2.5 million podcast downloads and free language lessons every month to learners all over the world. We've monetized through ad revenue, through online courses, obviously, and books, and lately launched an app for video lessons.
Amazing. Welcome. And how many languages do you speak?
It depends on your definition of speak.
Okay. Fluent?
4 or 5 or something.
Okay, wow, all right, subtle. So my older brother, he can speak like 2 languages fluently, and he used coffee break languages for a while, and we would share like an Apple podcast thing, and I'd always be like, what the hell are all these freaking things? And I go and find my podcast, but then I met Mark, and I'm like, that was you! I would listen to your stuff, because then I started to want to learn, so amazing to have you here.
Thank you very much.
It's great. Abigail?
Hi everybody, I am Abagail Pumphrey. I am the CEO of Boss Project and host of the recently Webby nominated Strategy Hour podcast.
Oh!
Episode 950 just came out this week, so...
That's amazing.
I've been doing this a while. I've been in the online business world for 10 years. I've been with Teachable 9 of those years. I have over 41,000 students from all over the world, and my podcast has reached millions along the way. My goal is to help people leverage what they know into building a profitable and sustainable business online.
Phenomenal. Welcome, Abigail.
Thanks for having me.
Aneesh.
Follow that one. That's amazing. Hey everybody, my name's Aneesh. I run a LinkedIn influencer agency on the talent side. We've got some great folks working with Olivia here at Teachable to build their own courses. You saw one of my amazing creators on stage earlier today, Alfred Samba. We have not revealed this to anybody just yet, but we just hit the $3 million earned mark for creators in less than 12 days. I'm all about helping creators make their money, so as much as I'd love to represent as many folks as I can, if you do have brand deals and things like that you just want advice on, I'm always here to give that advice out, because I want to make sure you get yours and you get it the right way, okay?
All right.
Pumped for today. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Anish, great to have you guys. All right, I want to kick off with the unique question I have, a sports analogy. All right, ready? Basketball, baseball, or Olympic relay? When building a team around a creator business, which sport is the best analogy and why? Does each person have a specialized position like baseball? Are you looking for versatile players you can switch roles like in basketball? Or is it more like a relay where you pass the baton across the field? So, curious. You want to kick it off, Dara?
Okay, yeah. I wasn't expecting that one. I would say for me, where I'm at in my business right now, like I'm all about building teams this year. It is my #1 focus. In fact, for every single brand deal I have coming in this year, I'm trying to spend 40% of all of that revenue on hiring people to help me out. Because I have this cycle where every 6 months I'll burn out and then I'll stop working for a little bit because I'm so exhausted. I've had this mentality where I have to do it myself. And I've found that recently the people that I really enjoy working with are people that are more versatile, that have the right mentality. So I'd say basketball in that sense.
I like that. Amazing. Mark?
It's probably clear from me sitting up here that I am an experienced synchronized swimmer. Not. But yeah, I think there's something about synchronized swimming or artistic swimming where everything is so beautiful and elegant and all those spanky costumes on the outside, but underneath those legs are going very, very quickly. And particularly, there's always somebody under the water who stays under the water for like 20 minutes, but they're supporting all the other people on top. And I think that's a little bit like running a business, and particularly working with a team, because the team is doing all of those roles. They're swimming underwater, they're smiling on the surface, and they all look fantastic.
That's great. Well, okay, wow, you took a different sport, and I love that analogy. That's amazing. Abigail.
So I think it really depends on where you're at in your team building journey. Ultimately, when you're getting started, you need really flexible people that are okay at a lot of different things. But as soon as you can afford it, having those specialized people in the room make all the difference in your growth. But long term, definitely the goal would be to get to the point that you have enough synergy and enough loyalty and enough training that you can hand a project off from person to person and they're taking care of their respective roles without much oversight or over management.
Good. Love that. It's a way to put it.
Again, tough answer to follow. That's awesome.
That's going to be all half.
I get the last ones the whole time, man. This is crazy. I'm going to go with basketball because I feel like a lot of folks in the creator, like here, some of you already started posting content. You have your stories down. When you're at that tipping point to scale, you need simultaneous activity to be happening in order to scale as fast as you can. Right? So whether it's operations, whether it's the VAs you're looking to hire, whether it's do I build an AI agent or whatever it is that you're working on, I manage the businesses of 30 creators on LinkedIn. And I'm telling you, the simultaneous piece is necessary in order for them to ascend and transcend their businesses. If I drop the ball on one thing, it's a turnover and we're losing the game. Unlike the Knicks are going to win today, right? That's not happening today. But I'm saying this as a Raptors fan. Our people did not make it, so I'm a pseudo Knicks fan tonight, all right? So just like you know, the game starts at 3:30, so thank you for being here, by the way.
Focus on this. So Aneesh, you are on a creator's team. So do you look at yourself as that basketball player? You're the more versatile one, or do you feel like you're more specialized?
So I'm the guy under the water for 20 minutes. I'm the guy supporting to make sure everything stays afloat. Got to pay the bills, got to make sure people are hired correctly. So I can speak to anybody about any of the roles, operational, sales, whatever you want, AI, all of it. But because we are LinkedIn top creator like representatives, we work with LinkedIn a lot. We're seeing all the AI technologies come to the sales and marketing, go-to-market creators first through us, through our group. So we're at the forefront of go-to-market tech and beta testers and product testers and all those types of things. The reality is, seeing what's working and what's not, that's what gives a lot of our creators the edge. There is a big thing, and I'm sure everyone here to talk about it, is on the shiny object syndrome. There's so many AI this, AI that, try this out. It's so easy as a creator, because most of you are artists, visionaries, to be like, I'm really good here, but now I'm just going to jump over there because someone said something about Claude and this, and then this happened, and GPT did, the new prompt came out. It's so important to build a team that keeps you grounded and focused across the board. So that's something I'm seeing a lot right now.
I like that element because it's shiny object syndrome not only in what you're doing as a business, but also how you're operating it. And it's like, take things as they go. So I want to definitely dive into all those things. I think a lot of the folks in the audience here are in the process of hiring, or they've done it already, or they're aspiring to do it. And so for the three creators here on the panel, I'm curious, like, when was that point where you realized you needed support? What broke? And ultimately led you to being like, all right, I need to go find some support. If Abigail, you want to kick us off with your journey?
Yeah, so my first hire was actually from a cold pitch email, believe it or not. I was writing 5 days a week for my blog and publishing a lot of content. But I don't know how to spell worth shit, so, and my grammar was not great. So the first person that pitched me was an editor, actually, and she came in and started making sure that I looked like I had my shit together. I've gotten a lot better at writing in the last 10 years, just saying. But beyond that, the thing that actually broke was my inbox. I was getting hundreds of messages a day and incredibly distracted by just keeping up, not necessarily even accomplishing anything. And so having someone looking at my emails, addressing the urgent needs, handling customer support, and often handling customer support by like dealing with it without even getting me involved. It really changed the game for me. I was able to focus a lot more on the necessary parts of building a business.
All right, I love that. You were getting emails in relation to your product or inquiries from potential customers or brands?
Yeah, it was a mix of pitches, a lot of people who want to be on my podcast, brand deal opportunities, customer service. I mean, it varies every single day, but a lot of email.
So you hired someone to handle your email for you?
Yeah.
Was it a local person? Was it someone, a virtual assistant, things like that?
Yeah, so she was a VA. My first hires were all contractors. We built up to about a team of 20 contractors before we started hiring full-time employees. It made sense because we could have like really part-time specialized roles, but also have a few people that were super flexible that knew a lot about a lot and could just jump in and help.
All right, I love that. Mark, what about you?
It's actually pretty similar. Myself and my wife, we started the company together. We had a 2-year-old at the time, a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So my wife was very busy with them, and I think the catalyst in a sense was that she was seeing me so tired doing all the recording, all the editing, all the customer service, and this was still with a full-time job. So at that point I still had a day job, and it was only 2 years later that I went part-time to do Coffee Break as well as my day job. So we decided we needed someone to help not just with the customer service, but also with a bit of the editing and a bit of the just kind of general work that was involving in making the additional materials that we were putting together to support the podcast. So we hired someone, and she was brilliant. She took so many aspects off of us to free us up to do those things that we were good at and that we had time to do. She stayed with us for a few years, and then we kind of gradually built from there to a team of about 24 now.
Full-time, contractors, mix?
Mostly full-time, and everyone in person in our office and studio in Scotland.
All right, I want to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Dara.
Yeah, so my first hire was actually a video editor, and this is when I was still full-time. So my primary platform is YouTube, and I was spending anywhere from 8 to 10 hours editing a single video, and I do one long-form video per week. And I actually got pitched by a cold DM from someone who understood my industry, and like my industry is pretty technical. You know, I'm doing media buying tutorials about Facebook ads, and I was so worried about offloading that. But another media buyer was like, hey, I'm also a video editor. And what's crazy is he ended up building a video editing team under him. I still work with him. And then the person who reached out to me is now my partner at the agency that we co-own and run. So it like really spiraled like over the last 4 years to become something like bigger and better, and like candidly that is my most reliable team right now. And like what I'm really trying to focus on is like hiring that EA, that VA, so that I can get out of my inbox, because I've really realized like I sort of feel like a victim of my own business sometimes because of how much other things I feel like I personally have to do, like the email and the quality checks on the video edits and managing my brand partnerships. So I am really trying to figure out someone who can help more with that right now, and that's my big focus.
So you're actively trying to figure that out, because I was curious, like how do you determine what you can delegate and outsource and what you can stay focused on?
Yeah, I actually made a hire last year for an EA for someone who was going to be helping me, and I feel like I made all the classic mistakes. Like, I've tried hiring family members. I hired a friend to work with me, and both of those things I've had to learn the hard way of, like, okay, like, I actually need to hire someone that's not quite so close to me and is maybe in it for the right reasons. And I've found that is just like a really difficult process when my personal business feels so like unique to me. Like, when I was agency side, I managed a team of 20, but like creating your own personal business is just so different. And I've found that the learning curve for hiring that out like feels just like more intimate.
So you're in that process, though, of kind of maybe getting comfortable with letting go on certain things. Like, when it comes to video editing, will they send you like a fully edited thing and then you'll nitpick your way, or they're like, no, send me your first bit in the file so I can like pick it out before you do anything further than that, or you find you're slowly letting go?
We have like a great process. And so like some videos, it's like, yes, I will give like 100 pieces of feedback. Like, I'm working on a big mini series right now. Like, there have been 10 edits and there will be 10 more before like we're like getting the first edit out. But like, that's just part of like where I am in my creator process. Like, for some of the tutorial stuff, it's just one edit.
Super interesting. Aneesh, I want to throw it back down there. Where do you find you come in with the creators and what they feel comfortable giving up to you on your end, and what are you hearing from them in terms of how they feel about that?
Yeah, I usually come in when they want to make more money, and that's when I do the brand deals and all that fun stuff. But because on the operational side, we actually run an exercise. How many of you are familiar with Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time? Great. For those that have not put up their hand, highly recommend buying that book. This will help you operationalize a lot of what I'm about to say. So we have this exercise that we run a time audit on. You go in and you start writing out all the things that you do in the day-to-day, and then you score them in 3 categories. And everyone here has their own version of this that they just talked about, but in case you were a little bit different than anyone on the panel, you want to see like, what are the tasks I'm actually going to give away? You might be an excellent editor and that's faster for you, right? You might be excellent in sales, you're not going to outsource that. So in order for you to understand what you need to outsource, you categorize these 3 categories. One's passion, so you list out all these tasks. You write out how passionate or not passionate am I on those tasks. The second bucket is capability. Where do I have the skill? Where am I really good at, what I'm not good at? And then the third one is business importance. How critical is that task to the business objective you're trying to solve for? The things that are scored really well, you keep doing. The things that scores poorly, that is now your job description when you bucket all those things together for your next immediate hire, especially if you're a solo creator right now trying to find your first next hire, whether it's fractional, full-time, it doesn't matter. This is what helps you build a JD for what's necessary next to keep you fulfilled. As artists and creators, the worst thing that can happen to you is that you just feel burnt out and you're just putting out content for the sake of putting out content. You've now lost that authenticity that everyone says, be authentic, bring value. That's what they're talking about. You lose that spark. So in order for you to scale yet retain the spark, do that exercise. And then from there, you're able to understand the next hire. The second question I normally get is, okay, Aneesh, I need an account manager. I need an operations person. I need a salesperson. Where do I go to find somebody that's not going to break the damn bank? And let's say you can't get me. You go on. You go onto this, there's this tool, you can check out Reddit groups, Facebook groups, things of that nature, and just search let's say you're looking for an account manager community. And if you do not know where else to go, there's this platform called Hive Index. You can actually search this for anything you're selling or doing. It could be for pet communities, you want to find a thing for neck pillows traveling on the airplane. Hive Community gives you a list of communities for the topic you've entered. So let's say you're looking for account managers. Put that in. Join those groups. There's so much fractional support there if you're trying not to go the VA route. And if you want to go the VA route, pick your market. I've hired from every market in the world. Latin America, Philippines, India, I've also recently started testing Lebanon. That's an excellent market. Remotely X is something I'm testing right now. There's a whole bunch of places there, but if you don't want to go the VA route and you want more folks that know the culture, things domestically, do the dark social search, which is going on Facebook groups, and Hive Index. They'll tell you where everything is.
That's super interesting to know. Good exercise. Abigail, any thoughts on that process, how you are figuring out what you want to delegate, what you want to keep doing, where you keep your hands in?
Yeah, so I think mostly you need to understand the difference between what your one-off, visionary, creative tasks look like and what the repetitive nature of your business is. So where are you finding things that you're just doing and doing and doing again and doing again? Typically, the things that are repetitive in nature are things that can be systematized and offloaded. And so I really encourage you, especially in the beginning, to start with those more repetitive tasks. It's a lot harder to train for these one-off, more creative tasks. They could be a side project. I've definitely hired like a writer for one very specific launch, for example. But most of the time, I'm looking for someone who can be ongoing support that is trainable in my process. And there's some legal lines you have to be careful with, because in reality, contractors are not supposed to train, but we're in the creator industry, and you got to find the people that are flexible and willing to hear out what you're looking for.
How do you go about those processes? Are you kind of like writing out, or have you filmed yourself like doing a particular task and kind of just ship it over to them?
So, people talk about what's called SOPs, standard operating procedures. They can get really fancy with, these long drawn out documents that are incredibly boring to read and hard to execute on. My favorite way to train people is just to get on Zoom. And so I will walk them through my process, what I'm working on, how I go about doing something. And I'm usually very open to them making tweaks to the process as long as we get the same ultimate outcome. But I would train twice. The first time, do it completely myself. The second time, have them do it and I'm like shadowing them doing it. And then the third time, them doing it completely on their own, and then I'm just checking the work at the end. And usually by then they can fly, kind of depending on the complexity of whatever the project might be. But when that person, if they ever were to leave, they're in charge of training the next person, because by then I don't necessarily even know the process anymore. I've offloaded it, I haven't done it. Some things I haven't done in 8 years or more. So I wouldn't even know where to start or where the login is or what software we're using, which is a little scary, but you can't retain every piece of knowledge in your own business.
Right. Especially as you're scaling, it's like things are going to move more and more away from you at the epicenter of everything.
Yeah, like even today, my spouse is with me, and the team at Teachable asked about, suggestions for the platform, and he's going to have completely different feedback on technical features because he's in there doing completely different things than I am. And it's not to say that his feedback is any less valuable than mine. We just have different needs because we operate in different parts of the business.
I love that. Very unique. Mark, I want to bring it to you to close out this question on the things that you have found to delegate, right? What you have felt comfortable letting go or maybe even uncomfortable with.
I am a bit of a control freak. I'm probably in a good company here. And I think it probably was difficult for me to give over the bits that I, first of all, enjoyed and felt I was quite good at. But then all the business books that you read, all the podcasts that you listen to, all the videos that you watch tell you, you've got to delegate, you stop doing that stuff, you've got to do the big stuff, the strategy stuff, and yeah, you do. But then there comes a point, and we've recently surveyed our audience, and the results of that survey have pointed to some really interesting aspects of the demographics of the audience. And what I was feeling was that, okay, we needed to hire younger, good-looking, French language teachers or Spanish language teachers or whatever. And what we've actually kind of come to realise is that, yeah, okay, our audience do want they want the language teachers. They don't care really what age they are. But it kind of comes back around to the fact that they sort of want me, because I'm who they signed up for, I'm who they've listened to in their ears. If I'm allowed to say, Uber driver on the way here this morning was a coffee break French listener. So, he was, look at your Mark from Coffee Break French, which was like, oh.
Were you just like, hey, Uber for Mark? He's like, you're on the screen.
It did say that if I told him happy coffee breaking, at the end it would give him a free, and my next ride would be free, but I've yet to find out whether that'll be the case. If it had been Lyft, undoubtedly it would have been always free. But where was I? So I think it's come to the point that I've kind of realised actually what I need to do is get back into the stuff that I love, the writing the emails, the presenting the videos and so on, because our audience is wanting me, and our audience, from the survey that we did, 80% of our audience are over the age of 55. Now, can I ask a personal question? Can you put your hand up if you're willing, if you're over the age of 50 in the room? Okay, thank you for your honesty. Because one of the things is, I've got a few little data points here. Over 50s, in the UK, over 50s contribute around £602 billion to the UK economy. And in 2040, nearly 63% of every £1 in UK consumer spending will be from over 65-year-olds. In the US, it's over $8.3 trillion. I can't even count that high. And if the over 50s were of the US, over 50s were a standalone country, it would be one of the world's third largest economy. So older people like us want to learn from older people like us. And I think that's my message to me, to say, yeah, keep writing the emails, keep being in front of the videos. It doesn't matter that you've got no hair left.
I think you look great. Love the boomers and my dad's here. He's one of them. So Facebook. All right, I love that. So, Mark, you bring us to a great point about maybe this element of leading in certain areas. And so, Dara, I want to kick it off to you about how have you navigated this transition from creator to leader, and what have you struggled with it, or what have some of your current learnings have been?
Yeah, so like Mark, I also have a real perfectionist streak with a lot of this, and I really just try to now operate under, I know everything's not going to be perfect, like let's get 80 to 90% of the way there, because for me, I really need to extract myself now from a lot of the process. And I'd say it's honestly way easier for me to do it on the advertising business, and we're able to build up that team and also have processes that are routine. But what I struggle with the creator business is some weeks I'm working only on brand partnerships, while other weeks I'm going to be doing course updates, or I'm going to be working on another platform, and sometimes the brand partnership is just completely different. So that's why I'm really trying to find people that can be more flexible in that aspect. Yeah.
Super interesting. How have you found being a leader in your org?
I mean, it's...
Because you got to remember, oh shit, there's other people working for me. I got to maybe check in on them sometime.
Yeah.
Show them here,
I think something that I struggle with is I am a recovering people pleaser. And I really have struggled, especially with my personal brand, to not try to be people's friend. And something that I keep on backing into is that, they want to work with me because they want to learn something from me, not necessarily because they want to be my friend. So I'm trying to really dig down into what they want to learn from me and make sure I can provide that. But at the end of the day, like making sure that they are really providing for like the business and the system that I'm trying to build.
Super interesting. All right, I love that. Mark, you feel similar in terms of, you just talked about this element of, no, I want to be creating more. How have you navigated that transition of being the creator, you're with your wife, to now like you're leading a team essentially?
I mean, I think it's similar. We try to make sure that everyone has a part in all of the steps. So although we have people doing editing or people writing notes for French lessons or whatever, one of the key things for us is that everyone knows what everyone else is doing. So we have regular team meetings, we have regular bringing everyone together for that. And we want them all to be kind of singing from the same hymn sheet. We want them to know where they are in that overall picture. And from the point of view of trying to ensure that keeps going, that is something that we try to increasingly we try to work hard in order to then to keep that going. And yeah, that's probably not quite answering your question.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm just curious because there is this element, this struggle, this difficulty of becoming, now I'm a leader, right? Mentally, you need to kind of recognize I'm leading a business now. It's not just the Abagail show or something like that.
Well, I have thought about changing the podcast name to my name, so I feel called out right now. Navigating the transition, I took this very seriously. I wanted to do a good job. I've had a lot of managers that have deeply influenced me throughout my career, and even if I didn't like the work environment I was in, I always had good managers. They taught me so much. They were really influential in my growth, especially early on in my 20s. So when I went into this, I was like, what do I not know? And spoiler alert, I didn't know a lot. So I really brought in professionals to help fill in info gaps. So I hired an accountant and a tax strategist and an HR professional where we worked through a work chart and figured out what's the vision for how many people and what's the hiring timeline for that look like, what does those job descriptions look like, and then I had to navigate and understand what does it mean to actually bring those people on, because when you hire in other states, you have to be compliant to the laws of those states and learning about payroll, and like there's so many things that I couldn't have imagined that I would have to learn. And so I did something that I think a lot of creators don't, and I ended up going more internal. So I was still a face of the company and appeared on podcasts and in content, but I no longer wrote any of our emails. I no longer wrote any of our social, and I was more an operations and CFO type within the business. And I did that for a number of years, but I really started to hate it. Not because I didn't like managing. I was actually quite good at it. But I felt so disconnected from the craft and the creativity and the artistry. Like, my background's in design. I went to school for fine art, and now I'm just like some HR director that runs payroll. Like, it just didn't feel right for me.
Of your own thing.
I know. Of my own thing that's supposed to be cool, and it just didn't feel cool anymore. And so I actually decided to scale down, both in team size and in revenue, so that I could be more at the forefront of the business and more of a creator role again. And I'm so much happier, and you know what? I make the same amount of money.
That's great. You're having more fun.
Oh, way more fun. Way more fun. I have time to do this. I didn't have time before.
Well, we're glad because you're here.
Oh, I like being here. You guys are cute.
But I think it's important that you went through that process and journey, and like we're at a point where like, how the hell did I get here? You wake up in the morning, you're managing the P&L or whatever, and to get back to the point where you are where you want to be, and I think that that's quite important, and it's part of the process.
Yeah, I think more people need to prioritize their lifestyle when designing the team, because sure, you can grow infinitely. Like there's definitely huge amounts of scalability opportunity in this industry. People are making 7, 8 figures. I wouldn't be surprised if someone cracks 9 before long. That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of potential employees to run a business of that size. But most creators I know have no interest in running an empire of sorts. Like maybe write a book here and there, maybe speak here and there, but they're not here to be the next Oprah, and that is okay. Like enjoy your life. Enjoy the money. Like spend time with the people you love, and I don't know.
Right.
Take charge of your time again.
It's also something about aligning what your goals are. Right? Do you want to grow your business as a creator to be a lifestyle business, or are you truly after that empire element? You want to build software off of your distribution and things like that. Your goals will ultimately supposedly determine the hires you make, but you need to make those proper assessments. I do want to give a chance for the audience to ask some questions to these people, but I want to go around and I want to hear, because we talk a lot about human capital currently, shout out Dr. Kudish, but I want to hear from each of you, what is perhaps one tool that has been such a game changer in your business that you've come across maybe within the past year or so? If Aneesh, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so again, on the LinkedIn front, there's a big tool that we use called Clay. Essentially what you're able to do is, let's say Alfred does a post, and we have a brand deal going on, I'm able to find out everyone that's liked, comment, and engage with that post at a company and individual level. So you can't really do that on other platforms. Because on Instagram, my handle's Aneesh_L, follow me. LinkedIn though, it's like, okay, this person has this size company, this is their title, this is their tenure, and it does one of two things. One, I can tell the brand, hey, look at the folks that Alfred has gotten you in front of. But two, it tells us if the content we're intending, like people we're intending to reach, is it the right people, or is something off with our content strategy? We no longer need to wait for the sale or the qualification at the bottom of the funnel. I can, at the top of funnel, find out if the content's heading where we're intending it to head, whether it's for newsletter stuff or brand deals or anything. That's the piece that's super important, and Clay allows me to do that.
Very cool. CLAY? All right.
Clay.run, check it out.
Clay.run.
RUN. And they also bought clay.com. They're crushing right now.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so I love apps and software. You can go to bossproject.com/resources. I got all my faves there. P.S. But as far as new things that I've discovered, lovable.dev is so sweet. Like, it is. Anyone who's ever imagined running a software company and has been overwhelmed by the idea of hiring a full development staff, like, you can do so much coding without hiring now. And so I loved playing around with it. Definitely hope to release an app later this year. To help people write more. I'm really excited about building stuff out using an application that makes coding accessible.
That's great. That's amazing. Okay, cool. Lovable. Barb.
Mine's is not so much an app or a tool as such. It's more a technique, a strategy that we use. We produce an enormous amount of video content, audio content, and everything is associated with one particular lesson. So if we are, one lesson might have about 17 different elements. And about a year and a half ago, we started using a 5-figure number in every document name for that lesson. So it means that we know that anything that we've got on any computer, the network, anything online, anything in Dropbox, all we're looking for is a 5-figure number within the document name, and we know that that will be associated with that one piece of content. And it literally has transformed our way of working, and it's like ridiculously simple, but it just really, really works.
Did you learn that anywhere? Is like a certain technique that another company has done, or?
Not as far as I know.
Okay.
Just kind of thought, why don't we give it a 5-figure number?
Yeah, just like a skew.
Yeah,
for
just-
your
yeah,
content.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you have a database where you know that the 0023 is connected with, Spanish 5 or something?
Yeah, and the really sad thing is we know some of them off by heart because we talk about them. So, have you got 02379? Oh, that's the Spanish video on such and such. Yeah.
That's very cool.
And we use Airtable for that in terms of tools. So
All right, there you
Airtable.
go. Airtable.
Got a tool.
Dara.
The tool that I'm most excited about is one I've actually just discovered like the last 2 months, and it's cut my scripting time in half for my YouTube videos. Again, a lot of my content is like super tutorial based, it's really technical, and I've found that trying to use AI platforms really didn't translate into a usable script, but Poppy AI, Poppy, essentially you can create mini agents to help you increase your production process, and it's helped me out exponentially.
All right, amazing. That's super cool. All these the tools that are out there, the team building elements, it really does take a village for all of you to be in the position that you are in. So it's very exciting. And when I look at putting together this event, right? Not only to be part of Teachable, they have a whole team that's associated with it. But on the Creator Economy NYC side, we have some folks that are helping with content. Dom Unique, Ciara, Ryan's here, Ben's here, and to do those things that we need to kind of outsource or get help with, it's great to have a team. And some things software tools just can't replace, right? It takes a human to do it, which is amazing. So thank you for answering my questions. We do want to open it up. We have a couple minutes for a few questions, so we'll have come around with the microphone, and we'll answer a handful. And state your name and what you do.
Do you understand? I got dressed for this.
You might as well stand. Yeah, come on, show it off.
Hi, my name is Kimmy Coleman, and so I am a faith-based creator and also a founder of a digital media production company. I like to say that we are to digital media what Kirk Franklin is to gospel music. I don't know if you know Kirk Franklin, but he's very vibey. He can be played in the club, but also played at church, and that's the kind of content that I create. So with that being said, he likes it, he gets it. So I have a question about hiring. I wrote it down. So I'm very interested in what your take is on volunteers. So I have there's a young man that I know that wants to work with me, and he's willing to volunteer and wants to learn from me. I'm like, I can only pay you in pizza and prayers right now, and I feel uncomfortable about that. I want to be able to make sure that you're in a good position to do something awesome after we work together. So is there a way to structure a deal so that every time I work with somebody, he can get a little something? Or do you just take that volunteer work? That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, so one thing I'll just say up there, it's always nice to have people that want to help you, work with you. I'm a big believer that not all money is good, and not all time spent is very important as well. These are the two things I talk to my creators all the time. It's kind of like the shiny object syndrome we were talking about before. You want the help, but you don't know if you're gonna. First, we don't even know the capabilities or anything like that. So if you want to do a fair exchange, there is a revenue share element you can always tie them to if that's part of the volunteer output. But find out from the volunteer what are the learning objectives they're hoping for. Just because they want to learn from you as to what end. Same question I ask my creators. You want to scale? To what end? You want brand deals? To what end? You want to hire people? To what end? Find out what the volunteer is actually trying to accomplish. To what end? Is it a resume thing? Do they want you to introduce them to somebody if they earn their keep? Those types of things. Once you know what they're working towards, it becomes a lot easier to build that reward share. Say, oh, you just want an introduction to some people? Great. Why don't you go do this, this, and this to make sure you're sticking out your neck for the right reasons? I got that demonstrated? Fantastic. Oh, you want to get sales background? Great. You want to get deeper with the faith? No problem. Those are the types of things that once you know the outcome, it's so much easier to see what can I barter instead of parting with cash right away.
Yeah, I think to really kind of continue on that point. When I first started my community, it was growing faster than I could keep up with. And we got some moderators to volunteer really early on. I think there was at one point like 7 people, none of which were paid. I couldn't afford it at the time. It was still very early, but we had a deal where they had an opportunity to promote their own business within our community. And so all of them were independently running something themselves, and they could center their expertise within the community. It was very well known who the moderators were. They were highly respected. Ultimately, all of those people have gone on to run fairly large businesses themselves. And in addition to that, in a little bit different vein, the blog, after I had been writing 5 days a week for, 18 months maybe, I got burnt out. Shocking. So I started allowing guest contributors, which we no longer do that for the blog, but for a season that probably lasted a couple of years, people were regularly writing on our platform, and in exchange for the free content, essentially, there was a block at the end of every blog post that had their photo, a link to their website, sometimes like a short little bio. We had very specific regulations as to like what that looked like. And so we had a ton of guest authors, and some of which started doing that very consistently. So we had some people that were once a week, a couple times a month, and it helped us scale a lot. So I do see the hesitation. I can't imagine taking an intern for free, but that didn't feel like that was what this was. And so I think, to his point, you have to define what the relationship looks like.
Just make sure the time's worth it, though. Just because the volunteer's there doesn't mean it's a good use of your time. You only have 24 hours in a day. Most of that's like, what do I create next? If you create, most of your creators. That's really, really important. What do I need to do for my course? How do I sell it on Teachable, right? All those things. Those take up priority time. If you now need to add, I now need to come up with a learning curriculum for the volunteer, check in on them, oversee their emails, double check their work, that adds up quick. I'd rather pay somebody.
My question.
Hi guys. Hi, my name's Piper, and I'm a full-time creator at the intersection of business and lifestyle. So I'm at the part right now where I'm pretty burnt out as well, and I need some assistance in scaling. I'm curious what your guys' opinions are on going with a management company versus building a team internally. Because I know there might be some mixed opinions, but there's obviously a cost to both of like taking the time to build and train the team versus working with established agencies that claim to have lots of connections, but they also then take 15 to 20% of your revenue. So I'm really going back and forth with that decision. So I would love your thoughts on that.
I'm very biased on this one.
So am I.
So actually, this is something that I think about a lot too, because I look at my course creation business and my business as a creator, like 2 different businesses essentially. So I'm actually pretty eager to work with someone to help manage the creator aspect of what I do. But when it comes to managing more of my the course and my community and even helping me out with the agency side, that's where I'm that makes a lot of sense to build internally. But I see a ton of value in being able to have someone like a talent manager, for instance, especially if they have better connections than you do and they can pitch on your behalf.
To give some context, right now I don't have a course or any educational module yet, but I want to. But most of my income, all my income, comes from brand partnerships in the business and lifestyle space, and they're all inbound. So I love building relationships. So just to give that context then.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, if most of the time when I speak to creators, I have about 5 to 10 of these conversations a week. I actually tell you not to hire in this scenario, believe it or not.
The honesty.
The reason why I say it is, the best time to bring someone like myself or a talent agent in is like, especially in like this whole business to professional, B2B element, like even if you're a direct to consumer creator, if you have other lines of business that will make you way more, our mantra is return on hour. If I can get you as much for your time, that's my job, regardless of what it is. If your time, every hour you put into your core business, makes you way more money than the brand partnerships, bring me in. I'll figure out the brand partnerships for you because you're leaving that money on the table anyways. But if that's 100% of your revenue right now, and you're waiting to save up enough to fund doing the course, the production, all those things, and you like doing sales, I'll give you some, after this come see me, I'll give you some numbers to like track, if you're not already, inbound lead flow, qualified inbound lead flow, your win rate, your close rate, all those things, time from the first pitch to closing, closed won opportunities. What is that time cycle like? If you're continuously improving those metrics, that means you're a good salesperson as much as you are a creator. But if those numbers are not good, then I will say, okay, maybe you need to bring in an expert because you're actually leaving money on the table. The only time to part with 15 to 20%, 20 for me, is when you're leaving money on the table. If you're leaving money on the table, bring somebody in because at least you win with the incremental. Right?
So at that point, is it then, if I'm bogged down by like the admin stuff, would that be then outsourcing the admin with an operational assistant? Abigail?
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. To that end, one thing to keep about, I think a lot of people assume that you have to hire a manager that's over everything, and we have absolutely brought in agencies over specific elements of our business. So for a long time, we had a podcast agency that handled all of our ad spots. And the main reason is they were already connected with all of the other agencies that were doing ad buys. And so in podcasting world, it's very uncommon for the businesses to actually be handling their own ad buys if we're talking like huge businesses. And so you have to be in agency. Anyway, the relationships get confusing versus if we're talking a brand deal where you're negotiating like specific deliverables, that is a lot easier to self-negotiate. But we've gotten to the point in our business where we have enough of the existing relationships that we just wait for inbound and we have a process. So.
Let's give a huge round of applause for our panel.